Well, hello everybody and welcome to Jeff's Baking Blog. Today I'm going to be making a seed cake in a loaf tin like this. Now this is a recipe that I've taken from The Guardian or Observer, from their 20 best cake recipes, and I'm not quite sure whether the recipe as printed was quite correct, because I'm tending to wonder whether this makes two cakes rather than one, but I have another pan ready if that's the case. So for the ingredients, I have 260 grams of butter, 260 grams of caster sugar, 320 grams of self-raising flour, 5 large eggs, that would be extra large in the USA, which I've beaten slightly, 150 millilitres of full fat milk, and a teaspoon, a generous teaspoon I have to say, of caraway seeds. Now I've seen some other recipes for this seed cake where they put in a whole jar, 38 grams of caraway seeds, and I'm not quite sure whether I would like that. That might just be too... Caraway seeds have a very strong flavour, and too much of it can taste a little bit medicinal. So I'm sure that this one with just a teaspoon will be good. So the first thing to do is to cream the butter and the sugar together until it's fluffy. But I'm actually going to just start off with the butter, just to make sure that it's soft enough to cream properly. And the easiest way of doing that is to plug in the mixer. So I'm going to scrape down, because I've still got a clump of butter there, and I'm going to scrape down the sides, and then I think I'm ready to start creaming it with the sugar, which will break it up much better. And you want to cream this until it's nice and fluffy. So I'll put the sugar in, and then I'm going to add in the caraway seeds and cream it a little bit more. I'll give it another scrape down so that any butter that's attached to the side of the wall will then get mixed with the caraway seeds as well. Okay, so having mixed the caraway seeds with the butter and the sugar, I'm going to add the egg in, but just a little bit at a time, and mix that until it's all combined. Now, I'm doing it slowly to try to avoid curdling, but if the eggs do curdle with the butter, it doesn't matter. As soon as you put the flour in, it will all come together again. Okay, so I've mixed the eggs in, that's fine. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sift the flour in. So I'm going to take the beater off just for a minute. And this is the 320 grams of self-raising flour, and I'm just going to sift that in. It puts a little bit of extra air in. Okay. So I'll put the beater back on, and I'm going to mix that until it's all combined. And with that combined, I'm now going to mix the 150 millilitres of milk in as well. Okay. So I've got that mixed in, and I have my oven preheating at 180 Celsius, that's 160 Celsius with a fan, 350 Fahrenheit, gas mark 4, and I'm going to put this into our loaf tin. Now, as I say, I have 2 loaf tins ready because I think this is rather more mixture than you can do with 1 tin. The size of the tin that was recommended in the recipe was actually smaller than this. This is a £2 loaf tin, and you can either grease it and line it with parchment paper, or you can use these little loaf papers, which I'm going to do. And then we're going to pour our mixture in. But first of all, I will just give it a final scrape to get right to the bottom. And we'll see how this goes. I think I'll carry on. I actually still think it's too much batter for one tin, but I'm going to continue the experiment. I'm not going to put any more in because that's completely filled my tin. And so the next thing to do is to put that into the oven and let it bake for 45 minutes until it's going nice and golden brown on top and it's risen and the skewer comes out clean. So I'm going to pop that into the oven and I'll be back with you when I've taken it out. Okay, so I'm back with you now, and here we have our cake. I've actually taken it out, let it cool down quite a bit. It's still a little bit warm, and I've cut it, and as you can see from here, whoops, as you can see, you've got the seeds throughout, and I'm going to have a taste now. In the article that I read where I found this recipe, it suggested that at 11 o'clock in the morning there was still 2 hours to lunch, so you had time for a piece of seed cake and a glass of madeira. Well, I won't be doing that. I'm having seed cake with a cup of tea. It's very light and moist, and that sort of aniseed or anise type flavour that comes from caraway seeds, and not too strong, but you can certainly taste it. It's I think those people who suggest putting a whole jar of caraway seeds in would be overpowering it completely. But this, just like this, tastes very, very good. So I was a bit afraid that the recipe would make more than one loaf. Certainly if I used loaf tins the size suggested in the article, which were only about 2/3 of the size of my one, there would have been far too much batter. As it is, you can see this one slightly came over the edge, but it's still fine. Now, I baked mine for exactly 53 minutes. I said 45, the recipe said 45, but I tested it with a skewer and it was still too moist. The skewer came out slightly sticky, so I did an extra 8 minutes and it was perfect. Well, that's it for today. If you've enjoyed this recipe, please give me the thumbs up and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen, the video screen, there will be an eye that you can click on to get the recipe, and I'll also put a link below the video so that you can click on that to get the recipe. So as I said, that's it for today. Please join me again very soon when I'll be back with another recipe. So until then, happy baking.